So the Dragon Ball Super anime is without question going to come back at some point, and they're going to begin with the Moro arc. There will most likely not be an adaptation of the Broly film. Instead, it's going to be the Moro arc, the next story of Dragon Ball Super. And the question that we're going to be discussing, well, not really a question, but the topic of this video is going to be, how will the anime version change some of the events or maybe move stuff around? How would what kind of things do we want the anime version of the Moro arc to do to improve upon the manga version? Because now that the manga story has been told and it's over and we're moving on to the Granola arc, I am very curious to see how things go. First of all, if you're on this video right now and you're new, subscribe, punch that like button. It helps me out very much if you hit that like button. Trust me on this one. Let's talk about the anime version of the Moro arc. And joining me to discuss what we want to see in the anime version. Oh, and by the way, feel free to leave a comment after you like the video and let us know what you think they should improve upon with the anime version. But again, let me introduce my guest. Please welcome back to the channel, Oppai Senpai.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back myself. Happy to be back.
That was loud, bro. I had to turn you down there for a second. Yes, welcome back to the channel.
Man. Yeah, I'm happy to be back. This is going to be an exciting topic because there's a ton of they can improve upon from the manga. I've had my beef with the manga. It feels like a lot of things were rushed, and now it's their opportunity to really go in depth into a lot of things that weren't covered.
Now, the thing about the manga is what makes this manga different than the original Toriyama Dragon Ball manga from back in the day is that Toyotaro kind of structured it to where every chapter, every month, felt like an episode. You know, if you actually study the original Dragon Ball manga, stuff like Vegeta training on Yardrat, Toriyama never really showed a lot of that stuff in the manga. Maybe very little, 1 or 2 panels. Here we have like multiple months of Vegeta training on Yardrat, so it feels more like an anime episode. Back in the day on Dragon Ball Z, they would add more training stuff for the filler stuff, like Goku and Gohan had tons of extra stuff in the anime that wasn't in the manga when they trained in the Room of Spirit and Time. And they do it a lot. So here, the manga does feel like that, but I do think there's more things that they could actually add to it. First of all, I just want to say that I hope we get the good animators for the fight scenes, and obviously Shintani will do the music, and you know, I hope that Goku versus Moro, and actually all the fights, get the good animation team, obviously. Now, first of all, for me, the one thing I think they need to improve upon, in my opinion, the one major thing is I want them to show more of the Goku and Meerus relationship. I want them to really focus on Goku and Meerus kind of bonding more in the Room of Spirit and Time. I want it to be a thing where when Meerus makes the sacrifice to Moro, that it means more to Goku. And I think they could put extra content in the anime version to kind of show why Meerus' death affected Goku so much.
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, towards right before Meerus died, we had that little flashback scene of Goku and Meerus training, right? And they were just kind of chilling and talking. That was cool. But I think it would have been more impactful if that was revealed actually before, while they were training, because we pretty much got a time where they were training, and then 6 months later they're done, essentially. I mean, not exactly like that, but
there wasn't
essentially
too much there.
Got.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So they should really have a couple of episodes focused just on that training, not just Meerus and Goku, but also switching back and forth between that and what's happening at Planet Yardrat with Vegeta.
Right, I totally agree with you on that. We do want to see more of the Yardrat planet. I want to see more of Vegeta's training. It doesn't have to be 10 episodes. It could be 1 episode. But that's one thing I for sure want to see. Also, I kind of hope that in the anime version, they have more Galactic Patrol stuff as well. Like maybe a little bit of comedy here and there, a bit more Jocko stuff. I mean, one thing about anime adaptations is that they always add dialogue and they always make the fights longer. So you can expect to see the fights be longer no matter what, even if it's a little bit longer. Obviously, Dragon Ball Z would make the fights way longer. And I think with the Moro arc, they could do that here. Maybe not as long as Z, but, you know, expand it a little bit.
Well, there were 59 battles in total between multiple characters, even small, big battles, 59 in total. And the official title for this entire saga is the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga.
Right.
And yet, we don't really get that much time individually with the prisoners. If you ask me, do you care about these other prisoners? I'm like, yo, I don't even know what their backstory is. I
Right.
don't know what their motive
the prisoner
is.
is Moro. The title's about Moro. You know what I mean? So that's
Yes,
yeah,
but
yeah. But you saying you want more
yeah,
Sagambo and guys like that, right?
because in the saga that's coming afterwards, the Granola saga, it appears that some of those prisoners are back, right? That
Yes.
they may have,
Yes.
they may play a role. So why not start putting the seeds of a little backstory between each of these individual characters? One of the beautiful things that the Dragon Ball Super anime did was a particular episode where Gohan was fighting against one of the guys from a different universe who had his own family and a backstory.
Right.
Bro, I was about to cry. I don't even know who this guy is. And when he died, I almost cried because I cared, right, about this insignificant side character. So I think that's what they need to do with these prisoners. They need to give them some sort of backstory to where we can relate and, in a way, kind of justify their actions. We can't justify Moro, but we may be able to justify his followers.
Right. No, I don't know about justify, but it would help if they showed more of the things that they did with those prisoners. Now, 7-3 also, I kind of hope they build up 7-3 a bit better, because now that we know that 7-3 is a big part of the next arc, I think they should definitely give him a little bit more TV time. Also, I think that the fight with the Z fighters, when Yamcha comes back and Tenshin Han and all those characters, when they come back to team up and whatnot, Gohan, Master Roshi, I want to see more of that as well. I want to see actually multiple episodes of them fighting the prisoners, because I think the fans would really dig seeing the old team actually doing something. And Dragon Ball Super gave us a little bit of that in the Tournament of Power, but we didn't get Yamcha in that, except for the comedy stuff. We didn't get, other characters in that. 17 and 18 were in that, but I think it would be great if we saw more of that as well. Like, that more action with them.
Yeah, because that felt like a mini Tournament of Power in a way. Because the Tournament of Power wasn't just focused on Goku.
It was like Resurrection
like the
F.
Rumble.
It was like Resurrection F.
Yeah.
For
so,
sure.
So that whole... So obviously this saga is divided into different sections. There's 24 chapters in total that cover the... It's actually the longest... In the Dragon Ball Super manga, this is the longest saga out of all of them.
And then when they adapt it, it's probably going to be the longest one in Super the anime as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think the longest saga in terms of anime episodes is 54 episodes of the Tournament of Power. So during the Galactic Bandit Brigade's assault, that could be an easily 10 episodes focused on those side characters that we haven't really seen too much of in the past.
I was thinking more like 5, but maybe 10 if they stretch it out. That's a lot of filler, but yeah.
Well, so there's two, interestingly enough, there's two things that weren't released in the manga that were released in the volumes, like special pages, that they can also bring back into the anime for the first time.
You mean like the Frieza one?
Yeah, so the Frieza one, that's an easy one, and I think that would actually play really well at the end of an episode as a little comedy gag of, like, where's Frieza? That would be hilarious. But the other thing is they need to tie this back into Broly somehow. And one of the things that they did in chapter 43, in the bonus page that wasn't released in the manga but was released in the volumes, was as Goku and was talking to Meerus, before they actually got the symbols, the Galactic Patrol symbol under clothing, they actually talked about the events of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. Right? And that tied it back together. So that's definitely something that the manga didn't technically cover in its release.
Right.
But they can definitely do that in the anime.
Yeah, they can show scenes from the movie.
You'll be able to... Yeah, well, I would like them to like animate them from scratch. That would be... But, maybe I'm just dreaming.
Happening. But I mean, you never know. No, you might be right. You might be right. I mean, the one thing, though, about Broly is he's not in this arc at all, and I don't think they're going to put him into the TV version because they're holding Broly for later. There's going to be a storyline with him later on. You already know there is. I mean, maybe Granola, but something later on they'll do with him. Now, how do you feel about the Majin Buu, like the backstory with Meerus and with Moro and the gods? I want to see more of that. I want to see more information because we don't know anything about Moro. We don't know, we know some things, but we don't know where he's from. We don't know how he got his powers. We don't know, is he a demon? We don't know what he is. We don't know anything about him. We just know he's a villain.
So that was only a couple of pages in chapter 42 or 43, I believe.
Right. Early.
But what I want them to do is what they did back in Dragon Ball Z, where they went back and they showed us the Kais fighting against
Buu. Yes.
Majin Buu.
Yes.
That was cool. I've gone back and I've rewatched that because we don't really get enough of that. So one of the things that I wanted to do one of the episodes, we start off, Dragon Ball Super is back, everything is happy, just like Dragon Ball Super episode 1. But now, halfway through the episode, the theme changes, the atmosphere changes, and then we're back in the past, and the rest of the episode is just an extension of Moro fighting against the Grand Supreme Kai. And don't just give us a couple of seconds of that. Give us like an entire 15 minutes of 15 minutes of that. I think would be cool because it would allow us to see Moro and the way that he fought 10 million years ago. Was it 10 million?
Well, yeah, I think it was 10 million. I forget. But I agree with you. I think 15 minutes is almost an entire episode, but I'm okay with that. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, like you said, the Majin Buu flashback was almost an entire episode. But even if it's like 10 minutes, like you said, that would be fine, I don't know if they're going to do that, but I feel like that's something they should do because it would tell more of that story. Also, little things like, for example, maybe they show Oob in his village before, like he's just hanging out in his village with his parents. We've never seen Oob's parents before. We've only heard about them. And then all of a sudden, Majin Buu shows up. Like, little things like that, little lore building things. Is there anything you think they should...
And keep in mind that Toyotaro will probably be working on the anime in terms of...
He'll be helping, yeah.
Yeah, possibly, he'll be helping. Possibly. And a lot of people say, well, why didn't he go into detail with Moro's backstory and this and this and that? Well, already this saga is the longest saga in all of Dragon Ball Super in terms of the manga. So and you can only cover so much per chapter before a chapter gets kind of boring in terms of a manga style. But now the anime, just because the manga didn't go super in depth, doesn't mean that Toyotaro doesn't have a complete backstory planned or ready for that character. It could have been that it just didn't make sense in terms of the timing for each chapter. So he could have more information on Moro that could be explored in an anime format, which would make sense for that because you can have entire episodes going back into Moro's backstory and giving us more of that.
I agree completely. That's something I would definitely have to see. Also, how do you feel about anything with like Namek and whatnot? I think they could expand on Namek a bit, maybe a little bit, not too much, a little bit, maybe, I don't know, or
just maybe explain.
Go ahead.
I'm a little tired of Namek, to be honest. We've always gone back to Namek,
right?
Somehow,
let's go to some new planets, Let's go to some new planets, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But I do want to see more of Moro because as soon as Moro gets to Earth, the whole concept of him just murdering people kind of stops. I mean, yeah, he goes after Goku, but he doesn't really kill humans. So I want to see more of that on Planet Namek. We don't really... We know that he killed a bunch of people, but I want to see him actually do it and be savage and do it in different ways that it's even worse than the way that Frieza has done before against Namek. I think they need to do a contrast that this guy is even worse than Frieza, and the way he's gonna do it, it's even more savagery.
I agree. The only problem is that Dragon Ball Super is probably not going to be as violent as the manga. So that one chapter where Moro like the anime, that one chapter where Moro just ripped into all the characters, that's going to be heavily censored for the anime version because of time difference, time slot, and because of the Japanese broadcast standards. So, and that sucks because that's one of my favorite chapters. Probably my favorite chapter of this arc is when Moro just tore into everybody, put a hole through Goku's chest. It'll still be there, I'm sure, but probably with a lot less blood than what Toyotaro put in there.
Right. Or maybe the blood won't be red. It will be like white or blue.
No, it'll probably be color. No, I don't think they'll do that, but I mean, they'll probably do way less blood, which is unrealistic compared to old Dragon Ball, but I mean, we'll see. So are there any other things you think... Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. One last thing. Do you think there's anything in the story itself that could change? Anything in the context of the story itself? Because people were saying they should change the UI Goku thing with the Senzu, but they probably can't do that because it's an important part of that turning point. I mean, they could take out the Senzu part and it would probably be the same thing, but in fact, I kind of hope they do, but I don't see them doing that. So what do you think?
The only thing I really want them to kind of remove or change is the whole thing about Meerus playing with the Oracle fish. And that didn't really lead anywhere. I mean, the gods were very little involved besides Meerus, right? As an angel trainee. they had very little involvement, and it kind of felt in a way like they were there for fan service, because they literally had like all the scenes with beer and stuff that had no impact on the story whatsoever. So I'm fine with them just not having that at all. Give us a break from the gods until, you know, they actually come to planet Earth towards the later end of this saga, and just focus on everyone else.
Yeah,
That's one thing I would change.
no, I don't disagree with you, but I don't think they're gonna do that because, well, actually they might, or they might move stuff around. They might actually have the Beerus stuff at a different point in the story. I actually want more of Beerus like commentating on things, but maybe not necessarily fighting. I hope they do something like that where Beerus and we should discuss in the fight. And I do hope, I mean, it's going to be great when we see UI Goku again. It's going to be great to see in the anime. We'll get the violins back, hopefully, and, you know, it'll be a good time. So let us know in the comments.
They could also
Go ahead, bro.
They could also expand on Meerus. We see, the thing is that he's not an angel anymore.
Right.
So now that he's not an angel, that's like, what is the excuse for in the Granola saga for them to go back into the history of Meerus and maybe a little bit of the hidden lore behind the angels and the way that they function, how to become an angel.
Right.
So that was a missed opportunity that could be expanded upon.
Right. I mean, they could do that for sure. I would be totally fine with that if they told more of Meerus' backstory. Absolutely. Find out. And maybe explain more about how the angel hierarchy actually works. You know, like becoming an angel, training for one. I hope they give us more information on that, because that is interesting for me. Let us know in the comments if there's anything else you want to add or anything else you want to you think that maybe the anime could do better in the manga. Do you have any final ideas before we get out of here?
Oh yeah. Let's retcon Vegeta, right? Let's actually retcon him falling asleep for most of the saga or towards the end, and let's. I'm happy with that retcon, man. I'm happy with just changing that up.
Well,
giving him like an act.
What are you talking about specifically?
He just got defeated so easily after he came back to planet Earth for the first time, and he was just knocked out for a long time. So I want to see him do like an actual, and I'm fine if he's knocked out for most of the ending of the saga, but it happened so quickly and without much effort. Like it almost seemed like he didn't put enough of a fight. So I want him to go out in an epic way because he is the prince.
I see what you're talking about, and I would love it if they expand that fight more. So let us know in the comments what you think. Thank you, Opai, for being here.
Yep.
All right, we'll talk to y'all next time.